My boyfriend, Grant Caldwell, walked in like he had a mission. Not angry, exactly. More like decided. His jaw was tight, eyes too focused, like he'd rehearsed the conversation in the car and picked which version of himself would step inside. He didn't greet me, didn't kiss me, didn't do the normal key drop sigh. He just said, "So, about your birthday thing." I muted the TV slowly. My birthday dinner? Grant tossed his jacket over the chair like the chair owed him something. Yeah, the board game thing. It's not a thing, it's my birthday, I said, keeping my voice light on purpose. Dinner at Dominic's place. Then people come back here. Drinks, games, 15 people tops. Grant made a noise, half laugh, half scoff. That always landed like a slap if you let it. You're turning 28, Sienna. I blinked. I'm 27. I'm turning 28. That's what I said, he waved a hand. And you're still doing dice and little cards and whatever? My stomach tightened, not because the insult was new, but because it wasn't. This had been happening for months. Little comments that were easy to brush off one at a time, like sandpaper you didn't notice until you realized you'd been rubbed raw. It started small. Eye rolls when I mentioned Thursday nights with my friends. A sigh when I said we were doing a game marathon. The phrase, "When are you going to grow up?" became his favorite punchline. I used to laugh with him, like it was harmless. And then one day he said it in front of someone else. That was when I realized it wasn't a joke, it was a strategy. My friends aren't children, I said carefully. Grant leaned on the counter, arms crossed, wearing that calm superiority, like a tailored suit. Sienna, I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm saying they're stagnant. Stagnant. That word had replaced loser, because he'd learned loser sounded cruel out loud. My core group is Ethan, my best friend since middle school. He works in IT. Jasper, who teaches high school math. Dominic, who manages a restaurant he basically built from nothing. And Khalil, a graphic designer who's freelanced for companies Grant probably pretends he's never heard of. I sat up straighter. They're not stagnant. Grant's eyes flicked over me like he was assessing something he might return. Ethan still lives with roommates. Because he likes living with people, I snapped. Jasper drives a 2008 Honda because he doesn't care about showing off. Dominic works insane hours because he loves his place. Khalil literally makes art for a living. Grant shrugged. Exactly. None of that screams future. My throat burned, but I forced myself to breathe through it. This was the thing with Grant. He never raised his voice. He didn't have to. He could cut you with a smile and make you feel dramatic for bleeding. Anyway, he said, checking his phone like the conversation was already done. I'm not coming. The room went still. I stared at him. What? I have a work event, he said, like it was the weather forecast. Networking. You have a work event on my birthday, I repeated, slower. And you're telling me now. Grant tilted his head slightly. It's important. How long have you known? A pause, a small one. But it was there. Does it matter? He asked. Yes, it mattered. Because it meant he'd known long enough to say something, and chose not to until now, until the moment when it would sting the most, when it would feel unavoidable, when it would feel like I'd be embarrassing if I complained. Grant, I said, quieter, this is my birthday. He gave me that look, the one that said I was being sentimental, and sentiment was something adults outgrew. It's just a day, he said, and honestly, I'm not spending my evening watching grown adults play pretend with little pieces of cardboard. It's pathetic. Pathetic. There it was, the word he claimed he'd never use. For a second, my face went hot. My chest tightened. The old version of me, the version he'd been training, wanted to scramble, to bargain, to make it smaller. I could have said, okay, we can do something else. I could have said, what if we go out somewhere nice instead? I could have said, please don't miss it. But something in me went very, very calm. 2 years of slowly chipping away at my friendships. 2 years of snide comments disguised as help. 2 years of him trying to reshape me into someone he could present to his coworkers like a trophy with good posture. And now he wanted me to beg. I looked at him and smiled. Small, polite, deadly. No problem, I said. Enjoy your networking. Grant blinked. It was subtle, but I saw the surprise. He was used to resistance, used to me arguing, then softening, then apologizing for caring. He hadn't rehearsed this version of me. He recovered quickly, of course. He always did. Good, he said, as if he'd won. Because I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I'm not asking you to, I replied. He stared for another second, then walked toward the bedroom, like I'd dismissed him instead of the other way around. When the door clicked shut, I sat there in the quiet and felt the anger arrive late, like a storm that didn't hit until the sky was already dark. Then my phone buzzed. A message. Zara. So, is Grant still allergic to fun, or did he finally unclench? I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering. Zara Whitaker, Grant's ex-girlfriend. And yes, before anyone jumps to conclusions, I didn't go looking for her. She found me. About a month ago, she started texting me out of nowhere. Nothing inappropriate at first. Just a casual, hey, random question. Does Grant still pretend he's better than everyone while leaving dishes in the sink? I'd laughed so hard I almost dropped my phone. Because yes, he did. At first, I responded with polite neutrality, the kind you use with someone from your partner's past because you don't want drama. But Zara was easy, funny, sharp, and weirdly honest. And the longer we talked, the more I realized she wasn't texting to stir trouble. She was texting because she recognized the pattern. The same pattern that was currently sitting in my bedroom, convinced he'd just put me in my place. I typed back. Me. He just called my birthday pathetic and announced he's not coming. Work event, networking, adult stuff. Zara replied immediately. Zara. Of course he did. Let me guess. He said he's helping you grow too? My stomach dipped. Because yes, he had said that, almost word for word. I stared at the thread, then at the closed bedroom door, and felt something shift. Not heartbreak. Not even sadness. Clarity. I opened my contacts and tapped Ethan's name. Hey, Ethan answered. What's up? I hesitated for half a second, then said, I'm still doing my birthday as planned. Grant's not coming. There was a pause. Wait, what? Why? Work event, I said, and I could hear the bitterness in my own voice. Ethan made a low sound. That's cold. It's fine, I lied automatically. But Ethan didn't let me. It's not fine, but we're coming, and we're making it good. After I hung up, I looked back at Zara's last message. And then I did something I didn't even realize I'd been craving permission to do. I chose myself. I texted her. Me. I'm having birthday dinner Saturday. Grant's not coming. Want to join? Fair warning. We're all apparently losers who play board games. The typing bubble appeared instantly. Zara. LMAO. He's still on that? I'm 100% in. Can't wait to meet these legendary losers. I stared at my phone, feeling a smile creep up. Real, not forced. For the first time in weeks, my chest didn't feel tight. It felt open. Saturday came faster than I expected. Grant left the apartment at 5 in the evening in a fitted blazer that made him look like he'd walked out of a LinkedIn post. He kissed my cheek like he was doing me a favor. Try not to stay up too late playing your little games, he said. I'll do my best, I replied sweetly. He didn't catch the tone. He never caught the tone when he thought he'd already won. Dinner at Dominic's restaurant was perfect. He'd reserved a private room and made all my favorites like it mattered, like I mattered. Ethan brought a ridiculous balloon bouquet. Jasper showed up with a gift bag that rattled suspiciously. Khalil came in late, apologizing, then immediately made everyone laugh with a story about a client who wanted more synergy in the font. And then Zara arrived. She wore a casual sundress, nothing flashy, no performance, just her. Bright-eyed, easy smile, like she wasn't carrying the need to prove anything. She fit in instantly, laughing at Jasper's terrible puns, talking design with Khalil like it was fun, not work, letting Dominic roast her about her drink order without getting offended. Genuine. Everything Grant hadn't been in months. Ethan leaned in close to me at one point and murmured, Isn't that Grant's ex? Yep, I whispered back. And Grant isn't here. Work event, I said. Ethan's grin was slow and wicked. Sure. After dinner, we all came back to my apartment for games and drinks. Zara destroyed us at Codenames, partnered with me for wavelength like we'd been on the same team forever. And when we played Telestrations, her drawings had everyone crying with laughter. Actual tears, stomach pain, the kind of laughter that makes you feel alive again. Around 11, people started posting Instagram stories. Normal stuff. Cake. Group shots. Videos of us dying laughing over a truly tragic Pictionary fail. Then Zara posted a selfie with me, both of us holding drinks, cheeks flushed from laughing. Caption, birthday girl knows how to throw a party. My phone started buzzing. Grant. One message after another. Grant. Who is that? Grant. Is that Zara? Grant. Why is she at our apartment? Grant. Call me now. I set my phone face down and didn't answer. We played until 2 in the morning. When everyone finally left, Zara hugged me at the door. This was the most fun I've had in months, she said softly. Your friends are amazing. But they're losers, I joked. Zara rolled her eyes. Grant is an idiot. Then she kissed my cheek, quick, friendly, warm, and walked out into the hallway like she belonged in the world, not inside someone else's shadow. I was cleaning up when the front door slammed open at 2:30. Grant stumbled in. His hair was slightly messed, his eyes glassy, and his confidence, usually ironclad, had cracks running through it. "What the hell was Zara doing here?" he demanded. I didn't even turn around at first. I just kept stacking cups. "She came to my birthday." "You invited her," he said, voice rising, "to spite me." I faced him then, calm as glass. "I invited someone who actually wanted to celebrate me." Grant's nostrils flared. "How was your little party? Did everyone clap because you rolled dice and drew stick figures?" "It was great," I said evenly. "We laughed, we ate cake, we had fun, normal human joy." Grant swayed slightly, then snapped. "That's not the point." I tilted my head. "Then what is the point?" His mouth opened, closed. Because the point, really, was that I'd done it without him. I'd been fine without him. And the version of me he'd been trying to train, the one who would sit at home waiting, ashamed of her own life, had vanished right in front of him. He stepped forward, voice sharp. "Everyone saw those stories. My coworkers, my friends. Do you understand how that makes me look?" I stared at him, and something cold settled in my stomach. Not heartbreak. Recognition. "This is what you care about?" I asked quietly. "How you look?" Grant's eyes flashed. "You humiliated me." I let out a slow breath. "You weren't even there." He lunged for another angle, frantic now. "Zara hated me. She's doing this to get back at me." "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe she just likes being around people who don't treat her like she's embarrassing for having fun." Grant's face tightened. And for the first time in 2 years, I saw it clearly. He wasn't angry because I'd invited his ex. He was angry because the story he'd been writing, where I was the pathetic one, had just been rewritten in front of an audience. Grant took one step back, then another, like he didn't know where to put his pride. Finally, he hissed, "You're unbelievable," and stormed into the bedroom. A second later, the door locked. I looked at the closed door, the half-cleaned mess, the leftover cake, the empty cups. And instead of feeling like I'd lost something, I felt like I'd found the exit. The next morning, Grant came out of the bedroom like he'd crawled through a hangover and decided the best defense was offense. He looked rough, eyes red, hair flattened in weird angles, the faint shadow of last night's confidence still clinging to him like cologne that wouldn't wash off. He didn't say good morning. He didn't ask how I felt. He didn't even glance at the half-tidy living room. He went straight to the point. "I can't believe you did that to me," he said. I was at the sink, rinsing out cups, the water running a little too hot because I needed something in the room to feel steady. "Did what?" I asked without turning around. Grant scoffed. "Don't play dumb. You invited Zara here. You let her post those stories. Everyone saw it." I turned off the faucet, dried my hands slowly, and faced him. "You skipped my birthday," I said. "You called it pathetic. You said my friends were losers. You announced you weren't coming, like it was a favor you were doing yourself." Grant's jaw tightened. "I had a work event." "You mean the one you forgot to tell me about until the last second?" He looked away, and that tiny flinch told me everything. "I didn't forget," he snapped. "I just didn't think you'd take it like a personal attack." I stared at him. "Grant, it was personal." He walked toward the counter, grabbed a glass of water, and drank like he was trying to swallow his own panic. "Your friends are embarrassing," he said finally, voice low, like he was delivering a truth I needed to accept. "I'm trying to help you. You can't build a future surrounded by people who refuse to evolve." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was so familiar it was exhausting. "Ethan has a better career than half the men you network with," I said. "Jasper literally teaches teenagers how to think. Dominic runs a business. Khalil makes art that pays his bills. They show up. They care. They don't treat me like I'm something to fix." Grant's eyes narrowed. "You're twisting this." "No," I said quietly. "I'm finally seeing it straight." He slammed the glass down. "You humiliated me." The word again. Like a mantra. Like if he repeated it enough times, I'd accept the guilt and hand him back control. "You weren't there," I said. "You can't be humiliated by something you chose to skip." "Everyone saw it," he insisted. "My coworkers, my friends, people I actually have to maintain relationships with." I blinked. "So this is about optics, not me." Grant exhaled hard through his nose. "You made me look like a joke." A thought settled in my chest, heavy and undeniable. He didn't care that he'd hurt me. He cared that other people might notice. I picked up my phone from the counter, not to be dramatic, just because it was there, and the screen lit up. A new message. From Zara. "Zara, not to stir the pot, but did Grant mention his work event last night? Because I just heard something that's extremely Grant." My throat tightened. Grant saw my expression shift and immediately stiffened. What is that? Nothing, I said too quickly. He stepped forward. Sienna. I hated the way he said my name when he wanted it back under his thumb. I walked past him, out of reach, and sat on the edge of the couch like distance could keep me calm. It's Zara, I said, because lying suddenly felt like helping him. Grant's face hardened. Of course it is. I unlocked my phone and read her next message. Zara, my friend Paige was at that event. She said Grant showed up for maybe 20 minutes, drank, and spent most of it checking Instagram. Then left with some woman in a white blazer, one of those finance circle types. They were pretty close. The room went quiet. Not the normal kind. The kind where the air feels like it's waiting to see who breaks first. I looked up at Grant. His face went slightly pale, the tiniest shift, like his body reacted before his mind could form the lie. Who is Paige? He asked too fast. I didn't answer the question he wanted. I asked the one that mattered. Who was she? Grant scoffed, but it sounded forced, brittle. You're seriously doing this right now? I held his gaze. Grant. Who was she? He laughed, sharp and fake. I can't believe you're letting Zara get in your head. She's literally my ex. Of course she wants to sabotage us. Then tell me the truth, I said. It's easy. If it's nothing, it should be easy. Grant's eyes flicked away. It was a coworker. We shared an Uber. To where? I asked. Silence. The silence was so loud it felt like a third person in the room. My heart thudded once, hard. Not heartbreak. Confirmation. That's what I thought, I said softly. Grant's face twisted. You're being paranoid. No, I said. I'm being awake. He stepped forward like he was trying to regain space, to loom his way back into authority. It wasn't like that, he insisted. You always do this. You always assume the worst. I swallowed. I assumed the worst when you started treating me like a project, when you started insulting my friends, when you skipped my birthday and acted like I deserved it. Grant's mouth tightened. You're overreacting. I let out a small breath and did something that surprised even me. I opened Facebook. Grant's eyes narrowed. What are you doing? I didn't respond. I clicked on my relationship status. It still said in a relationship. Because I hadn't touched it. Because I'd been waiting for him to act like a partner instead of a manager. My thumb hovered for a second. Then I changed it to single. Grant's reaction was instant. What the hell is that? He barked, lunging forward like the screen offended him. It's accurate, I said, voice calm. We didn't break up, he snapped. I looked at him and felt the strange stillness again. The one that had started last night. The one that made everything clearer. We did, I said. The moment you decided my life was embarrassing and your image mattered more than me. Grant's face reddened. That's insane. You're breaking up with me over one comment about your friends? I shook my head slowly. I am breaking up with you because you've been trying to make me feel small, so I'll cling to you for approval. Grant stared at me like I'd spoken a language he didn't understand. Then his expression shifted, fast. Anger to tears, like flipping a switch. His eyes glistened. His voice softened. Sienna, come on. Don't do this. I was stressed. Work has been insane. I didn't mean it. You've meant it for months, I said. He stepped closer, slower this time, like he thought tenderness could erase contempt. I love you, he said. I'm just trying to push you, to motivate you. To become what? I asked quietly. Someone who laughs less? Someone who cancels on her friends because you think they're not impressive enough? Grant's jaw clenched again, and the tears vanished as quickly as they came. You're being dramatic, he hissed. There it was. The real Grant. The one who only cried when control slipped. He pulled out his phone, thumbs moving fast, sharp taps like he was firing bullets. 5 minutes later, he thrust the screen toward me. A Venmo request. 1,847. I blinked. What is this? My half of everything I've paid since we moved in, Grant said, voice cold. Utilities, groceries, furniture, the couch, the TV stand. If you're kicking me out, you're buying me out. I stared at the number, and suddenly it was almost funny. Not the situation, the audacity. You don't get a refund on living expenses because we broke up, I said slowly. Grant's eyes flashed. Then I'm not leaving. I nodded once. Fine. He blinked, thrown. Fine? You can stay until you find a place, I said. But we're not together, and I'm living my life. That includes my friends being here whenever I want. Grant's mouth curled into a small, ugly smile. We'll see about that, he murmured. And in that moment, I understood something that made my skin go cold. Grant wasn't going to leave like a normal adult. He was going to make me regret wanting him gone. The next 3 days felt like psychological warfare. Monday night, he blasted some calm meditation playlist at 3 a.m. because he claimed he had anxiety. Tuesday, He cooked elaborate meals using my groceries, then left every dish in the sink like a punishment. Wednesday, he took phone calls in the living room, loud enough for me to hear, talking about how some people just can't handle dating up and how it's hard being with someone who has no ambition. I didn't respond. I didn't give him the satisfaction. But the real trap came Thursday. Board game night. I was at work when I got his text. Grant, having some friends over tonight. Hope that's okay. My stomach tightened. Board game night was sacred. Ethan, Dominic, Khalil, every Thursday for years, even before Grant. I stared at the message for a long second, then typed back. Me, cool, my friends will be here at 7 for game night. 3 dots appeared. Then, Grant, perf mine too. I leaned back in my chair and let out a slow breath. He wanted a collision. He wanted me embarrassed. He wanted my friends uncomfortable. He wanted to prove he could still control the space. And maybe, just maybe, he wanted me to crack so he could tell everyone I was unstable. I went home that evening with my keys clenched in my fists like a weapon. When I opened the door at 6:30, I stopped dead. Grant had rearranged the entire living room. Our gaming table, the one we always used, was shoved against the wall like it didn't belong in the space anymore. In the center of the room was a wine tasting setup. Candles, fancy glasses, a printed sheet with notes like we were in a pretentious seminar. Grant appeared from the kitchen, smiling like he'd staged a surprise party for himself. "What's this?" I asked, keeping my voice even. "Oh," he said lightly, "I'm hosting a wine and philosophy discussion tonight. Something intellectual, since it's important to be around people who elevate you." I stared at him. And the scary part? He looked genuinely pleased. Like cruelty was a hobby. At exactly 7, the doorbell rang. 7 of his friends walked in, polished, perfumed, dressed like they were attending a corporate gala instead of a living room. They carried expensive bottles and wore expressions that said they were doing charity work by being here. Then, 5 minutes later, my friends arrived. Ethan took one look at the room and raised his eyebrows. Jasper's smile turned stiff. Dominic muttered, "You've got to be kidding me." Khalil leaned close and whispered, "Is this a hostage situation?" I forced a smile. "Bedroom," I murmured. We moved our game to my room, balancing snacks on my dresser, setting cards on my bed like we were teenagers hiding from strict parents. From the living room, we could still hear Grant's crowd laughing. Too loud, too artificial. And then, like he wanted us to hear, someone said, "Some people never evolve past college." Another voice, "It's actually sad, the arrested development." A woman giggled. "My ex used to play video games. Thank God I upgraded." Ethan's eyes met mine. I shrugged, but my chest felt tight. Not because I was ashamed, because I was furious. And then the doorbell rang again. I froze, because I knew instantly who it was. I hadn't told her. I'd invited her earlier in the week, half as a joke, half as a lifeline, without realizing what tonight would become. Footsteps. A familiar laugh. And then Zara's voice, bright and clear in the hallway. Wow, this is giving networking session at 2 a.m. during finals week energy. My heart slammed because she was here, and Grant, somewhere out there in the living room, was about to see the one person who could rip his mask off without even trying. Zara didn't hesitate. She walked straight past the living room like it was background noise, stepped into my bedroom, and smiled when she saw us all crowded around the bed with cards and snacks. "Oh, good," she said cheerfully. "This is where the people who actually like each other are." Ethan snorted. Jasper laughed a little too loud. Dominic shook his head in disbelief. Khalil raised his drink in a silent toast. "Hey," I said, standing up. "I'm really sorry. I didn't realize—" Zara waved me off. "Relax. I've survived worse social experiments." She dropped onto the floor beside the bed like she belonged there, picked up a stack of cards, and glanced around. "So what are we playing?" Before anyone could answer, Grant appeared in the doorway. He looked stunned. Not angry yet, not smug, just caught. Like he'd walked into a room he hadn't planned for. "Zara," he said slowly, "how unexpected." She looked up at him, smiling pleasantly. "Grant." Still rearranging furniture to feel powerful, I see. The room went quiet. Grant's friends drifted closer, curiosity sharpening their expressions. Grant recovered fast. He always did. "What are you doing here?" he asked, voice tight. Zara shrugged. "Sienna invited me. It's board game night." Grant laughed, short and sharp. "Of course she did." "She?" Zara echoed lightly. "You mean the woman whose birthday you skipped?" Grant's jaw clenched. "This isn't your business." Zara tilted her head. It stopped being private when you made it public. One of Grant's friends, tall, sleek, clearly uncomfortable, cleared his throat. Is everything okay? Grant forced a smile. Fine, just old history. Zara laughed. Not loud, not cruel, just amused. Oh, I wouldn't call it old. More like recurring. Grant's eyes flashed. You're bitter because you failed. The words landed like he'd rehearsed them. Zara blinked once, then smiled wider. Failed? She repeated. Grant, I make 6 figures doing work I love. You make PowerPoint decks for men who forget your name by lunch. The silence that followed was brutal. Grant's friends froze. One of them actually winced. Grant's face went red, real red, not the polished flush he used in meetings. Get out, he snapped. Get out of my apartment. I stepped forward before Zara could even respond. It's my apartment, I said calmly, and she's my guest. Grant turned on me like I'd slapped him. Don't do this. I'm doing it, I replied. You don't get to decide who belongs here. Grant pointed at Zara, shaking. She's harassing me. Zara raised both hands. I'm sitting on the floor playing cards. I looked at Grant. Please explain to me how that's harassment. His mouth opened, closed. One of his friends stepped in quickly. Maybe we should go somewhere else, she said, already backing toward the door. There's a wine bar down the street. They didn't wait for Grant's answer. They filtered out awkwardly, murmuring excuses, grabbing coats, avoiding eye contact, like they'd just realized they'd wandered into the wrong kind of drama. Grant stood there, abandoned, fury vibrating off him. As the door closed behind his friends, he grabbed a bottle of wine from the counter. For the emotional distress, he hissed, storming back into the bedroom and slamming the door. The apartment felt lighter. Dominic exhaled. She's unhinged. He'll be gone soon, I said quietly. 2 weeks. Zara stayed after everyone else left. We didn't touch, didn't flirt. We just sat on the couch, legs tucked under us, talking until nearly 3 a.m. Books, travel, bad bosses, the absurdity of wine and philosophy night. At one point, she looked at me seriously. You know he's going to escalate, right? I nodded. Let him. She studied my face for a second, then smiled softly. You're stronger than he ever let you believe. The next day, Grant went nuclear. First, he called my mom. I didn't find out until my phone rang an hour later. Sienna? My mom asked, confused. Grant says you're not doing well, that you've been acting erratic. I closed my eyes. Mom, we broke up. A pause. Oh, she said. Then with relief. Thank God. I never liked him. Too much hair product. I laughed, tension breaking for the first time all day. Then came work. HR forwarded me an email Grant had sent, claiming I was creating a hostile living environment that affected his ability to work from home. My manager pulled me aside. Everything okay? Ex-boyfriend won't move out, I said. He nodded sympathetically. Been there. Take a personal day if you need. But Saturday was when Grant really lost it. Zara and I were at the farmer's market. Not a date, just coffee and wandering between stalls. Apparently, one of Grant's friends saw us. Because my phone exploded. Ethan, Grant just called me crying saying you're abusing him. Jasper, your ex offered me $500 to convince you to take him back. Dominic, Grant is at my restaurant demanding I ban you so he can eat in peace. Then the social media campaign started. Vague posts, pointed captions. Upgrading from boys who play with toys to men with real ambition. Some people peak early, and it shows. Each post tagged at places I'd been. Then he made the mistake. He posted a photo of my apartment. Caption, going to miss this view, but excited for my next chapter. Anyone know good realtors? I stared at the screen, calm settling in. Then I commented, lease is in my name only. You were asked to leave 2 weeks ago after cheating. Please be out by Friday as requested. He deleted it within minutes. Too late. Screenshots spread like wildfire. Zara sent me one with laughing emojis. He's scrambling. Grant came home that night furious. How dare you, he screamed. How dare I tell the truth, I replied. He threw a glass at the wall. It shattered. That's coming out of your security deposit, I said calmly. I didn't pay a security deposit, he yelled. Exactly. He locked himself in the bathroom for 2 hours, posting increasingly unhinged stories about narcissistic abuse and toxic masculinity. Sunday morning, I woke up to Grant in the kitchen. With a woman. Tall, polished, white blazer. The same one. Morning, Grant said sweetly. Hope this is okay. Trevor stayed over. The woman's eyes flicked to me. You said you lived alone. I pulled up the lease on my phone and handed it to her. Her face fell. Grant started talking fast. She's lying. I'm not doing this, the woman said, grabbing her jacket. You said you were single. She left without another word. Grant turned on me, eyes wild. You ruined everything. No, I said, you did. What followed was chaos. He tried to take the TV, failed. Tried to take the coffee maker, I let him. Tried to take light bulbs he claimed he bought. Monday, he changed passwords. Tuesday, he tried to get me banned from our gym. They banned him instead. Wednesday, he brought his mother. You're a loser, she announced. Zara walked in mid-sentence. Hi, Mrs. Caldwell. Still selling those MLM leggings that gave everyone a rash? They left in a huff. Thursday night, Grant threw a closure party. Strangers. Red wine on my carpet. Smoking on my balcony. I called the landlord. 5 minutes later, everyone was out. Grant collapsed on the couch, mascara streaking. You've ruined my life, he sobbed. No, I said softly. You did that yourself. Friday came. He packed slowly, tried one last time. You'll regret this, he said at the door, when you're alone. I smiled. I won't be. He left. I changed the locks that afternoon. That night, my friends came over. Ethan brought beer. Jasper brought pizza. Dominic cooked. Khalil brought his girlfriend. Zara brought brownies and champagne. To freedom, she toasted. To good friends, I replied. We played games until 3 a.m. Grant texted me once. I made a mistake. I blocked him. 2 weeks later, I heard he'd already upgraded again. As for me, I'm surrounded by people who show up, who laugh, who don't make me feel small. Grant was right about one thing. I'll never find anyone like him again. Thank God for that. It's been a few weeks now. The apartment doesn't feel haunted anymore. The corners don't flinch when someone raises their voice. The couch doesn't feel like a battleground. Silence has gone back to being gentle instead of tense. Grant tried once more, through a mutual acquaintance, of course. A carefully worded message about growth and miscommunication, about how time apart gave him clarity. He wanted coffee, closure, a chance to talk like adults. I didn't respond. Because closure isn't something you owe to someone who only respected you when they thought you were smaller than them. Ethan joked that the place feels lighter, like it's finally breathing. Jasper said he forgot how much I laugh when no one's monitoring it. Dominic started planning themed game nights again. Khalil said something that stuck with me. You don't look like you're bracing anymore. Zara didn't move in. She didn't rush anything. She didn't turn into a trophy or a plot twist or a replacement. She just stayed consistent. She shows up. She asks questions and listens to the answers. She laughs with my friends instead of ranking them. When she disagrees with me, she doesn't turn it into a referendum on my worth. We're taking it slow, on purpose. Turns out when someone actually likes who you are, there's no urgency to prove anything. I heard through the grapevine that Grant is already posting about another woman, someone driven, elevated, on his level. The captions are longer now. The smiles look tighter. Funny how loud people get when they're trying to convince themselves. As for me, I still play board games every Thursday. Still celebrate small things. Still choose joy that doesn't need permission. I didn't destroy Grant's life. I just stopped shrinking mine. And that was enough.